I'll never forget the moment I saw the red lace bikini drop into her suitcase. It wasn't even discreet, like she wanted me to see. Her hair was still wet from the shower, that smug smile plastered across her face like she was daring me to say something. And the worst part? I had already said everything. Told her how I felt. Told her it was disrespectful, insane, reckless to go on a trip with her ex-fiancé. But Brooke didn't care. Brooke never cared. Not about how I felt. Not about our marriage. Not about respect. She said, "It's just Cabo. It's not like we're sharing a room." Oh yeah? Then why did I see 2 champagne glasses and 1 reservation in her email? Why did she suddenly start waxing again, shaving religiously, going to yoga 5 times a week, and texting with her phone upside down like she was 13? My name's Tyler. I'm 38. I build custom bikes and fix classic cars for a living. Grease-stained hands, good money, simple life. I don't play mind games. I married Brooke because she was wild, beautiful, spontaneous. I never realized that came with a subscription to betrayal. I met her ex-fiancé once. His name's Chase. Of course it is. One of those rich, arrogant, teeth-too-white finance types who wears linen shirts and boat shoes like a damn cliché. When she told me they'd reconnected at a mutual friend's wedding and just talked, I already knew. Call it gut instinct. Call it survival. But deep down, my soul whispered, "She's lying to your face." I played it cool. At first. That night, she slid into bed next to me, her perfume thick like honey in the air. She kissed my shoulder, ran her hand over my chest like we were still in love, like she wasn't just setting up her little Mexican escape with another man. I stared at the ceiling, counting the cracks, holding back the storm. "You're quiet," she whispered. "You're loud enough for both of us," I said. She didn't get it. She never does. 3 days before the trip, I did some digging. I'm not proud of it. But when you're being played for a fool, dignity takes a back seat. I checked her laptop when she was out getting her nails done. French tips, of course, because Chase loved French tips. There it was. An email thread. Not even hidden. She titled it, "Work Retreat." But I saw the hotel name. The suite with a king bed. The champagne package. The boat rental. And the worst? A message from Chase that read, "I still remember how you tasted under the moonlight. Can't wait for round 2. I stared at that line for a long time. Like if I looked hard enough, I'd melt the screen. I didn't cry. I didn't scream. I just felt this void. Like someone cracked open my ribs and scooped out everything inside. I closed the laptop. I went to the garage. I built something. I welded. I drank a beer. I planned. That night at dinner, she wore red lipstick and laughed like a villain. Every movement of hers dripped with fake sweetness. She talked about packing sunscreen and her new modest swimwear. I smiled. I nodded. I offered to drop her off at the airport because my wife wanted to go on a trip with her ex-fiancé against my wish. So I took my karma revenge, but not in anger, not with violence, with precision. See, Brooke forgot something. She forgot that the man she married builds custom solutions. And I had one last build for her. What I did next. Let's just say it was poetic. And it started the moment I watched her walk away at departures, blowing me a kiss like I was her loyal dog. I didn't wave back. I didn't say a word, because she was about to find out. When you stab a man like me in the back, he doesn't just bleed. He makes sure you drown in it. At 3:47 a.m., my phone buzzed. One message. From my buddy Nate. "Bro, it worked. They're in." Chase even tipped me. Dumbass. I stared at the message for a second, then chuckled. It was the kind of laugh that crawled out of your stomach after weeks of pretending to be fine. I met Nate years ago at a car show in Vegas. He's a high-end concierge now, handles everything from luxury bookings to personal enhancements for the right clients. Discreet, loyal, ruthless when needed. He owed me a favor, and I was cashing in every ounce. 2 nights before Brooke's trip, I asked him to arrange the booking for that exact resort in Cabo. I didn't want just a copy of her suite. I wanted the suite. The one Brooke and Chase would walk into, blissfully unaware it had already been rigged to record audio and video from 3 angles. Nothing illegal. Just enough to catch the truth with crystal clarity. While she was sipping cocktails and playing innocent wife on Instagram stories, I was back home in Texas watching her lips trace her ex-fiancé's jawline. Watching her fake resistance when he leaned in to kiss her. Watching her giggle like a teenager before slipping out of her sundress. She moaned his name. She said she missed the way he made her feel. She said she'd never really stopped loving him. I watched it all, without flinching, without pausing, like a surgeon examining a tumor that needed to be cut out. When she called me the next morning to check in, I didn't answer. I wanted her to feel that silence. I wanted her to wonder. Her texts started piling up. Hey babe, we just landed. Hotel is gorgeous. Can't wait to tell you all about it. You okay? Haven't heard from you. Tyler. By sunset, she called again. I still didn't pick up. I was too busy forwarding the video to a private email, with a copy to my divorce lawyer. But that was just phase 1. Phase 2 was more satisfying. See, Brooke forgot that when she married me, she made certain financial decisions, like putting her name on a joint investment account, like linking her credit card to a business I funded, like trusting me to never pull the plug. So, I did. I drained the account. Not illegally, just took what was mine. I froze the shared credit. I revoked her access to everything with my name on it. And then I booked myself a cabin in Colorado with no cell signal, just whiskey and peace. That night, Nate texted me one last time. Bro. She just found out about the cards. Screaming at the concierge like a lunatic. Chase bailed. Took the early flight home. I smiled. She always thought she could play both sides. Always thought she could lie with a straight face and manipulate her way out of everything. But not this time. Not when the evidence was locked in a cloud folder titled Brooke's True Vacation. When she got back to Texas, she found the locks changed. A box on the porch with her essentials. Inside was the red lace bikini, folded neatly next to a flash drive. She blew up my phone for hours. Left voicemails that flipped between sobbing apologies and cursing me out like I was the villain. But I wasn't angry anymore. I was calm. Because I finally saw her for what she was. Not just a liar. Not just disloyal. But a scoundrel in stilettos. A manipulator dressed in perfume and pity. I didn't need revenge. I just needed her gone. And now, she was. Almost. There was still one final move left to make. One thing she never expected. One thing that would flip her entire game upside down. It was coming. And it would hit harder than anything she ever saw coming. Because I wasn't done yet. She showed up at my shop 2 days later. Tight jeans, tear-streaked mascara, that same fake sweetness she used whenever she wanted something. The same look she gave me when she convinced me to co-sign her car. When she begged me to trust her about Chase. When she said she was just going to clear the air with him. She leaned on the hood of a '67 Mustang I was restoring, arms crossed like she owned the place. Tyler, we need to talk. I didn't even look up. Just wiped the grease off my hands and kept tightening the bolts. I made a mistake. Okay, she continued, her voice cracking in that calculated way she used to manipulate. I didn't mean for it to happen. One thing led to another and... Stop, I said. Calm. Controlled. Dead quiet. You meant it. She froze. I saw everything. Heard everything. Every damn thing you whispered to him. Every lie. Every moan. Don't insult me by acting like it just happened. She opened her mouth like she was about to deny it, but saw the look in my eyes and knew better. I was confused, she whispered. I didn't think you cared anymore. You've been so distant. I slammed the hood shut. Hard. You were distant the moment he popped back into your life. Don't act like I pushed you away. You leapt. She stepped closer. We can fix this. Please. I know I messed up, but I still love you. I do. That word, love, tasted like poison coming out of her mouth. You love me, I said, laughing bitterly. You told him you still loved him. Said you missed his hands. Said you thought about him when you were with me. She started crying again. Not for me. For herself. It didn't mean anything, she sobbed. It was a mistake. I walked past her, unlocked the office, and pulled out a manila folder. I handed it to her. Inside were the divorce papers. Already signed. You don't make a mistake with plane tickets, Brooke. You don't accidentally pack lingerie and book a luxury suite. You planned it. You followed through. And now you get to live with it. She stared at the papers like they were written in another language. You're throwing away 6 years? She gasped. You threw them away the moment you stepped onto that plane, I said, staring her down. I'm just taking out the trash. She didn't scream. Didn't yell. Just stood there, mouth open, realizing, maybe for the first time, that she'd lost. Then she tried the last trick in her book. You really think he wants me? She hissed. Chase left me there. Didn't even stay the weekend. You think you won? You're pathetic. You ruined my life. I leaned in just enough for her to hear me clear. No, Brooke. You ruined your life. I just made sure the ending matched the choices. She stormed out. The silence she left behind felt like oxygen. I didn't celebrate. I didn't call friends. I just sat in my office, staring at the signature on those papers. My hand had signed it. My heart hadn't caught up yet. Later that night, I opened a bottle of bourbon and sat on the back porch. The Texas sky was painted orange and blue. I watched it fade into stars. My mind kept flashing to moments, our wedding, her laugh, that first apartment where we didn't even have a couch. I remembered dancing barefoot in the kitchen. I remembered the look she used to give me before everything turned fake. I wanted to hate her. Fully, completely. But the pain doesn't let you hate that clean. What you feel is hollow. Not rage. Not sorrow. Just emptiness. But I knew one thing. I'd never let anyone cut me open like that again. And I wasn't done building yet. There was still something I had to finish. Something that had been sitting in the garage untouched for months. My next move wouldn't be about her. It'd be about me. I spent the next 3 weeks buried in that garage. The engine purred under my hands like it knew what I was going through. Piece by piece, I rebuilt the '67 Mustang from the ground up. New pistons, fresh paint, tightened belts, retuned carb. That car had been collecting dust since Brooke started pulling away. Funny how things rot when you stop paying attention. Marriages. Engines. Every morning, I'd wake up before the sun, pour a black coffee, and get to work. The silence helped. Give my mind space to breathe, to process, to heal in its own stubborn, quiet way. I didn't talk to many people. A few texts here and there. Nate checked in. My sister tried calling. I let it all go to voicemail. I was rebuilding more than metal. Then, a week after the papers were finalized, I saw her again. Not in person. On my phone. Instagram. Someone sent me a story. Said, "Bro, you seeing this?" I almost ignored it. Curiosity won. There she was. At some lounge downtown. Dressed like she was starring in a music video. Hair curled. Red lips. That same damn bikini top layered under a see-through blouse. Laughing with some guy who wasn't Chase. Wasn't me. Another one. She clung to his arm like she needed a body to fill the void. His hand? Already sliding down the curve of her back. Her eyes? Rolling with the same hunger I used to think was only mine. I watched in silence. Not because I cared. Because I needed to see it. Needed to see what she really was when no one was watching. A storm chaser. A mirror. A void dressed like a fantasy. And suddenly, I didn't feel anything. Not jealousy. Not anger. Just this cold kind of confirmation. Like, yeah, this is who she is. This is who she always was. I shut my phone off. Tossed it on the couch and went back to the garage. The next day, I took the Mustang out for a test drive. Just me, the wind, and the roar of something I'd brought back to life with my bare hands. The highway was empty. The sky was clean. For the first time in what felt like years, I wasn't looking over my shoulder. When I stopped for gas, I saw my reflection in the window. I looked older, tired, but calmer. No more lies waiting at home. No more fake hugs. No more pretending everything was fine while my gut screamed the truth. Back at the shop, I decided to do something final. Something that marked the end. I opened up the laptop, logged into the cloud, and deleted the video. Gone. I didn't need proof anymore. I didn't need receipts or revenge or closure. I had something better. Peace. A few nights later, Nate came by with beers. He kicked his boots up on my porch and said, "Man, you look like someone who just got paroled." I laughed. "Feels like it," I told him. He took a sip, leaned back. "So what now? You gonna start dating again? Go full bachelor mode?" I shook my head. "Not yet. Maybe not for a long while. I've got rebuilding to do." "Of the car?" he asked. "Of myself," I said. He didn't laugh. Just nodded. Brooke texted once more. A long message. Something about regrets and maybe grabbing coffee to talk. I didn't reply. Because I already had all the answers I needed. And no matter how many filters she used, or how sweet her voice got, she'd never unburn what she torched. A month passed. Then 2. I didn't count the days, just the changes. Woke up easier. Slept deeper. Food started tasting like something again. Funny how betrayal strips everything down to the bone. But once you clear the ashes, you realize how much of your life was just smoke. I got new clients. Word spread that the guy with the Mustang could fix damn near anything with an engine. A few classic car collectors came by, dropped off projects that needed more than a tune-up, they needed resurrection. I understood that better than anyone now. I poured everything into that work. My hands stayed raw. My back ached. But my mind clearer than ever. Brooke's name stopped echoing in my head. Her perfume faded from the house. Her toothbrush was long gone. I changed the sheets, then the furniture, then the locks. A woman named Rachel started bringing me coffee when I worked on her dad's Thunderbird. Big brown eyes, sarcastic smile, no ring. She didn't flirt. Not directly. Just lingered. Asked questions. Laughed at my jokes like she actually meant it. But I didn't chase anything. Not yet. One night, I pulled out an old box. The one Brooke never knew about. Letters. Photos. Stubs from concerts, our wedding invitation, a picture of her asleep in the passenger seat with her feet on the dash, back when things still felt real. I looked through them, one by one. I didn't cry. I didn't smile. Just remembered. Then I took the whole box outside, poured a splash of bourbon on it, and lit the match. Watched it all curl into flame. The fire crackled like it was speaking. Maybe it was. Maybe it was saying, "You survived." The next morning, I wrote an email to my lawyer. Told him I wanted to remove Brooke from the business license completely, just in case. He replied 5 minutes later with a single line. Already done. That was the last thread. Then something happened I didn't expect. I got a call from Chase. At first, I thought it was spam. Ignored it. But then he left a voicemail. "Tyler, I know I've got no right, man, but I need to talk. About Brooke. It's not what you think. Just give me 5 minutes." I should have deleted it. Blocked him. But my gut, it twitched. So curiosity won again. I called him back. He answered like he'd been holding the phone in his hand for hours. "Thanks," he said, voice lower than I remembered. "I wasn't gonna reach out, but you should know. She told me you were abusive." I blinked. "What?" "Yeah. Said you screamed at her. Broke things. Threatened her. Said she was scared for her life." I sat there, stunned. "She told you that before Cabo?" "Yeah. Said the trip was her escape plan. That she needed someone she trusted." I couldn't speak. Couldn't move. Just stared at the empty space in front of me. "She's good," Chase said quietly. "Really good." I believed her. Until she started showing her real self again. Controlling, manipulative. She said the same things to me she probably said to you. I left after 2 days. Blocked her. I thought you should know. I hung up. Everything I'd felt, every moment of guilt, of asking myself was I too cold, too distant, evaporated. She hadn't just betrayed me. She tried to erase me. Rewrite the story with her as the victim and me as the villain. That night, I slept like a damn baby. Because now I knew. I wasn't broken. I was free. A week later, I was back under the hood of a '72 Chevelle when Rachel pulled up again, this time with 2 coffees, not just one. She didn't ask if I wanted it. Just handed it over like she'd done it 100 times before. "You look less haunted," she said, watching me wipe the oil from my hands. "Thanks," I replied, cracking the lid and taking a sip. Turns out closure tastes a little like bourbon and gasoline. She laughed. It wasn't flirtatious. It was real. We didn't talk about Brooke. She didn't ask, and I didn't offer. There was a kind of unspoken agreement between us, one made of respect. I like that. The quiet. The lack of performance. She didn't wear a mask, didn't try to fix me, didn't prod like I was some broken engine she could tinker with. That night, I found myself replaying the conversation with Chase. His voice. His regret. But most of all, her lies. Brooke hadn't just cheated. She'd weaponized my silence, twisted my loyalty into something dark and unrecognizable. Told a man I was abusive, manipulative, dangerous. It wasn't enough to sleep with her ex. She had to paint herself the victim. Make sure if things blew up, she'd still land soft. That kind of rot runs deep. I looked around my house, and realized how much of her was gone now. Her coat no longer hung by the door. Her hair ties weren't strangling the faucet anymore. That damn vanilla candle she loved so much had finally burned out. It didn't feel empty. It felt mine. Then, the unexpected happened. I got a letter. Not an email. Not a text. A handwritten envelope. No return address. Inside, a note in Brooke's handwriting. "Don't throw this away. I just want you to know the truth. All of it." I almost crumpled it right then. Almost tossed it straight in the trash with the rest of her fiction. But something made me read it. "I never meant to hurt you," it began. "But the truth is, I never knew how to be loved the way you loved me. You were real. Steady. And I'm chaos. I crave attention. Validation. I lie because the silence terrifies me. I betrayed you because I thought it would make me feel powerful again. It didn't. It made me feel small." I sat down. Jaw clenched. I blamed you to Chase because I needed to justify what I was doing. I needed someone to be the villain so I didn't feel like a monster. "I'm sorry I made it you." And there it was. Not redemption. Not reconciliation. Just truth. Twisted and late, but real. She ended with, "I know you'll never forgive me. You shouldn't. But I'll always remember you as the only man who ever loved me without needing anything in return." That was my greatest loss. I folded the letter, slid it back into the envelope, and locked it in the drawer with my old pistol and my father's dog tags. It didn't change anything, but it gave the wreckage a final chapter. The next morning, I went for a ride in the Mustang. Windows down, wind in my face, the engine roaring like it had something to prove. When I passed Rachel's cafe, she waved from behind the counter. I pulled over without thinking, walked in, and ordered something sweet for once. She smiled, slid it across the counter. "What's the occasion?" I shrugged. "Decided I'm done rebuilding the past. Time to start something new." She tilted her head. "That's so?" "Yeah," I said, meaning every word. "That's so." Weeks turned into months. The sting faded. Not all at once, more like in layers, the way dust settles after a storm. Some days, I'd still catch a scent, or a sound, or a memory that pulled me back. But I no longer flinched. I just let it pass. Rachel and I started talking more. Real conversations. Long ones. Not forced, not tiptoeing. She had a past, too, nothing dramatic, no scandals, just scars of her own. But she never let them define her, and that's what I admired most. She didn't carry her pain like a badge. She let it grow her, not harden her. One night, we sat on my porch under a fading sky, beers in hand, feet kicked up. She asked me, "You ever think about what would have happened if Brooke hadn't gone on that trip?" I stared at the stars for a second before answering. "She'd still be lying," I said. "I'd still be doubting my gut. Still wondering what I did wrong. Still trying to fix a woman who wanted to stay broken." Rachel nodded. "That's honest. It's the only thing I've got left," I replied. She reached for my hand. Didn't say anything. Just held it like she'd been there 1,000 times. I didn't pull away. Not long after that, I got a message from Brooke's sister, Lindsay. We'd never been close. She was always quiet around me, almost nervous, like she was holding in things she wasn't supposed to say. Her message was short. "I just want you to know. I believed you. I always did. And I'm sorry for what she put you through." I didn't reply, but something about it settled in my chest. Maybe closure doesn't come all at once. Maybe it drips in, piece by piece, from unexpected places. My business was growing. Word of mouth spread fast. I hired another mechanic. The shop got busy, full of life. Sometimes, when I'd pull into the garage and smell oil and hear music playing from the back room, I'd smile without even realizing it. I was back, but different, stronger, less naive, more aware of what I'd give and what I'd never let someone take again. One day, while reorganizing my office, I found the original wedding photo, me in a black suit, her in that lace dress, smiling like she believed her own performance. I held it for a second, then flipped it over. On the back, in Brooke's handwriting, it said, "Forever starts here." I almost laughed. Forever. The word meant nothing now, but I wasn't bitter. I tore the photo in half. Not out of anger. Just finality. That night, I invited Rachel over for dinner. I grilled steak. She brought wine. We sat under string lights and didn't talk about the past. We talked about where we'd travel, where we'd go if time and money didn't matter. She said Italy. I said Montana. She raised an eyebrow. Mountains over romance? I grinned. Mountains don't lie. She leaned back, sipped her wine, and smiled in a way Brooke never did, without calculation. For once, I didn't feel like I was bracing for betrayal. I felt steady. And that was the real revenge. Not the video, not the freezing of the accounts, not even watching her spiral. The revenge was becoming untouchable to her. Unreachable. A man she couldn't twist anymore. She gave me pain, but I made it into something she could never take credit for. Peace. Purpose. A clean slate. And just maybe, something real with someone who saw me, not just what I could give. A year to the day after Brooke's little vacation with her ex, I found myself standing at the edge of a cliff in Glacier National Park, Montana. The same place I once said I'd go when I wanted peace. And damn if it didn't deliver. Miles of pine stretching into forever. The air so clean it felt like it was rinsing out my lungs. I stood there, no distractions, no phone, no noise, just me, wind, and sky. And I realized I'd made it. Not just out of the marriage. Out of the storm. Out of the version of myself that accepted less than what I deserved. There was a time when I would have done anything to make her stay. Pleaded. Bargained. sacrificed pieces of myself just to keep her happy. But now? Now I wouldn't even open the damn door. She taught me something I didn't want to learn, something no man wants to admit. Love doesn't mean saving someone who doesn't want to be saved. It means knowing when to save yourself. People ask if I regret it. If I regret marrying her. Wasting those years. I don't. Because I learned to trust my gut. Learned how to spot a lie hiding behind a pretty smile. Learned how to rebuild something stronger from ashes. I wouldn't be who I am now if I hadn't gone through that hell. If I hadn't lost everything, I never would have found what really matters. Now I don't chase. I don't settle. I don't entertain fake love dressed up in grand gestures. I know what I bring to the table. I built the damn table. Rachel? She came with me on that Montana trip. Drove half the way, talked the rest. No drama. No games. Just us. Real. Simple. She never tried to be the opposite of Brooke. She didn't have to. She was just honest. And that was enough. One night, as we watched the sun bleed into the mountains, she asked me what I'd say to a man going through what I went through. I looked at her, then at the fire we'd built, and I said, walk away the first time your gut screams something's wrong. Don't explain your worth to someone committed to misunderstanding it. And never confuse chaos for passion. It'll gut you slowly and make you think it. She nodded, didn't say a word, just reached over and held my hand. That was the moment I knew. It wasn't the revenge that healed me. It wasn't exposing her lies or watching her fall apart. It was the choice to stop bleeding for someone who wouldn't even hand me a bandage. That's what saved me. And now? I sleep deep. I laugh loud. I live free. My wife wanted to go on a trip with her ex-fiancé against my wish. So I took my karma revenge. But karma isn't about hurting them back. It's about watching them lose access to everything they never deserved. Including you. We were sitting at a private beachside table, waves lapping the shore like a lullaby meant to distract me from the disaster unraveling in real time. I had planned the whole trip, rented the same villa we stayed at on our honeymoon, brought her favorite wine, even got a goddamn engraved bracelet that read forever, no matter what. Yeah, ironic. The sunset hit her just right. Her name is Alyssa, and to the outside world, she's the woman men fantasize about. Long legs, that smug smirk, a voice smooth like melted caramel. But inside, cold, calculated. And right now, holding a champagne flute with all the grace of a queen who just burned down her castle. Her cousin Maddie was with us. Don't ask why I agreed. Giggling over some influencer's meltdown on TikTok, sipping rose like we weren't celebrating a milestone. 10 years. 10 years of memories, holidays, family dinners, good mornings and good nights, and apparently, a boyfriend I didn't know about. Alyssa looked at me with that same nonchalant face she uses when returning a dress she's already worn to 4 parties. Oh, by the way, she said, like she was commenting on the weather. I sold your cabin. Silence. My cabin. The one in Lakewood my father left me before he died. The one I fixed up with my bare hands. The one I'd go to when the world was too much, when she was too much. My lips parted, but no sound came out. I mean, she shrugged. It just made sense. My boyfriend needed the money for his business. You weren't even using it anymore. She said boyfriend like it was an accessory. Like I was the stranger crashing this celebration. Maddie laughed. That same high-pitched cackle she used in college when she'd spike her ex's drinks and film him stumbling for likes. He'll get over it, she said, brushing invisible lint off her designer blouse. My heart didn't pound. It clenched. I smiled. That weird, ice-cold smile that doesn't come from joy. It comes from that flick of a switch moment when something inside you breaks and rearranges itself permanently. That's funny, I said, slowly putting down my glass. Because I just sold something too. Alyssa's fork froze halfway to her mouth. Maddie blinked. That silence, that thick, unbearable shift in energy, it stretched between us like a piano wire. And I plucked it clean. I sold the company. The one your boyfriend was borrowing resources from. To a firm overseas. It's gone. You'll get the paperwork next week. The blood drained from her face like a faucet had opened. You're bluffing, she said. I pulled out my phone. Swiped once. Showed her the email. $4.8 million. Closed. Effective immediately. Maddie gasped like a Kardashian at the wrong kind of scandal. Alyssa reached for her glass and missed. I stood up. Oh, and while we're being honest tonight, your boyfriend? Tyler. I had him investigated 3 weeks ago. I leaned in close. I know about the money laundering, the fake crypto company, and the underage bartender in Austin. FBI's been notified. I picked up my blazer slowly, savoring the confusion and rising panic in her eyes. Her mouth opened, but no words came. For once, she was speechless. And then I added, loud enough for the couple at the next table to hear. Enjoy the rest of your romantic weekend, ladies. It's the last one you'll be having for a long time. I walked off the beach with the kind of calm only revenge can deliver. Not because I wanted it to end like this, but because I knew this moment wasn't the beginning of my loss. It was the beginning of her downfall. You ever have a moment where your soul steps outside of your body and watches your own life like it's a movie? This was that. And I wasn't the victim anymore. I was the man who'd finally woken up. 3 weeks earlier, I had already suspected something wasn't right. Alyssa started doing this thing where she'd tilt her phone screen away from me when she texted. Subtle, but not for someone like me who'd memorized her tells over a decade. She laughed more at messages than anything I said out loud. The intimacy between us, the casual brushes of fingers, the long hugs in the kitchen, the late-night whispers before sleep. Gone like someone flipped a switch. I noticed receipts in the trash from restaurants I'd never taken her to. A pair of men's sunglasses in the back of her car. Once, when I came home early from work, I saw her at the kitchen table, smiling at her laptop like it was telling her sweet secrets. She slammed it shut like it burned her the moment she saw me. Said she was just watching a podcast. Right. It wasn't one thing. It was a dozen tiny things, all adding up like bricks forming a wall between us. But the real blow came when I checked our joint bank account. That cabin, my retreat, my escape, had been transferred. Not listed for sale, not appraised, not negotiated. Sold. Quietly. Discreetly. The funds routed through a shell account. And the name on that account? Tyler Graham. That's when I hired Danny. My old friend from college, now a private investigator with a grudge against cheaters after his own wife slept with his brother. He had a knack for this kind of thing. Within days, I had phone logs, texts, photos. I saw her on video stepping out of a hotel with him, her hand casually on his lower back like it belonged there. I watched her kiss him in a parking lot like no one was watching, but someone was. Me. They'd been together for 6 months. 6. While I was planning anniversary trips, she was moaning fake promises into another man's neck. The night I confronted her, I didn't scream. I didn't cry. I just waited. Waited for her to show up late again. She said she was at Maddie's, helping her with a breakup. She came home wearing heels I hadn't seen before, lips too red, perfume too sweet, trying too hard to look casual. I was sitting in the dark. She jumped when she saw me. Jesus, Nathan, what the hell are you doing? Why are you in the dark? Thinking, I said. She reached for the light switch, but I stopped her with a simple question. Where were you, Alyssa? Her eyes shifted for a second. I told you, Maddie's. Try again. A beat. Then another. She scoffed. Are you seriously doing this again? Don't you trust me? No. She rolled her eyes. God, you're so paranoid. This is why we're falling apart. You think we're falling apart because I'm paranoid? I stood. Or because you're screwing your boyfriend in hotel rooms while telling me you're consoling your heartbroken cousin. The color drained from her face. She opened her mouth, but nothing came. Then, defiance. You went through my phone? Hired someone? That's insane, Nathan. You're insane. Maybe if you'd spent more time being a husband instead of playing detective. I slammed the folder onto the table. Dozens of photos spilled out like accusations. Her in Tyler's car. Her in a dress I'd never seen, wrapped around him like a prize. Her kissing him. Her laughing. Her holding his hand in a cafe 20 miles from our house. Silence. I loved you, I said, voice trembling now. King loved you. She didn't even flinch. Just leaned against the counter and crossed her arms like a bratty teenager caught sneaking out. Yeah? Well, love doesn't pay for Tyler's dreams. He's building something real. Something that matters. I stared at her, speechless. I sold the cabin because it was just sitting there. You don't even go anymore. My dad built that with his own hands, I said. I fixed it when he died. That place meant something. She shrugged. Well, it meant money to us. You'll get over it. Those words. You'll get over it. That's when I knew she wasn't just cheating. She was never on my team to begin with. The following morning, she was gone. No note. No message. Not even a slammed door. Just empty drawers, half the clothes missing, and her favorite perfume still lingering in the hallway like some sick joke. I sat on the edge of the bed for hours. Not thinking. Not crying. just existing in a state of slow, quiet collapse. You know that feeling when your body's there, but your mind is floating 3 feet above your head, watching everything like a ghost? That was me. The betrayal hadn't just been physical. It was emotional treason. She didn't just cheat on me. She stole from me, lied to my face, sold my blood and bones to fund another man's dream. I stared at the bracelet I gave her on our anniversary. Forever, no matter what. What AF asterisk king joke. By noon, Maddie was blowing up my phone. She had the nerve to call me immature. Said I was ruining Alyssa's peace and making everything about me. Apparently, Alyssa told her I'd been controlling, unavailable, emotionally abusive. I laughed so hard I nearly choked. Me? The guy who brought her coffee every morning, who never once checked her phone, who paid for her yoga retreats, her designer clothes, her random girls' trips with 0 questions? I blocked Maddie's number. Around 2 p.m., Danny called. "You might want to sit down for this," he said. "I'm already on the floor." He sighed. Tyler's not just some broke loser with a startup. He's married. Silence. Lives in Austin. Wife's name is Jenna. 2 kids. Alyssa's not the only one being lied to. I nearly dropped the phone. So what? She's the side chick. Looks like it. But she doesn't know. Yet. I thanked him and hung up. And then, I laughed. A real laugh. The kind that comes from deep in the chest when the pain turns so ridiculous it starts to rot. She betrayed me for a man who was also betraying her. Poetic justice if I've ever seen it. But I wasn't done. I drove to the cabin. Or what used to be mine. I needed to see it one last time, before the legal paperwork kicked in. The air up there was cold, sharp. Trees whispering like they'd seen too much. I walked through the front door and stood in the silence of that creaky old house. Every board I'd hammered. Every window I'd cleaned. Every memory gone. Traded like a pawn ticket. I left a note on the kitchen counter. "You'll get over it, right?" On my way back, I stopped at the law office. The divorce papers were ready. I didn't even flinch when I signed them. Didn't hesitate. The only thing I felt was a burning, bitter satisfaction. She'd left with nothing but her delusions and a crumbling fantasy built on someone else's lies. That night, she called me. Blocked number. But her voice? Unmistakable. "You didn't have to humiliate me like that," she hissed. "You sold my father's legacy for a man who doesn't even want you. You're just bitter." "No, I'm free." She hung up. I stared at my reflection in the window. Same face. Same scars. But different eyes. Hardened. Sharper. Wiser. I wasn't the man who planned anniversary trips anymore. I was the man who survived Alyssa. 3 days passed without a word from her. I figured she was busy playing house with Tyler, pretending she'd upgraded her life. Letting herself believe that burning everything down was worth whatever false paradise she'd crawled into. Then Jenna called. Tyler's wife. Her voice was steady, but underneath, there was this quiet tremble, like someone who hadn't slept in days. "You're Nathan, right?" "Yes. I found your number in my husband's hidden files. I think we need to talk." We met at a diner off the highway, one of those old-school spots with vinyl booths and faded photos of Elvis on the wall. She looked tired. Not physically. She was stunning, honestly, but tired in her soul. Like someone who'd been lied to so well, for so long, that she no longer trusted her own instincts. She slid a manila folder across the table. I opened it and froze. Screenshots. Emails. Financial records. Photos. Tyler had been using Alyssa as a funnel. He was moving money through fake business fronts under her name. Her name, not his. That's why he needed my cabin sold. He needed more assets in her name to shift the heat away from him. "She doesn't know," Jenna said. "He's setting her up. He's planning to disappear." It hit me like a truck. Alyssa, the woman who threw away our marriage like yesterday's trash, was about to be left with more than a broken heart. She was about to take the fall for a man who didn't give a damn about her. I should have felt pity. I didn't. I thanked Jenna, left cash on the table, and walked out into the night with my hands shaking. Not from fear. From rage. I called Alyssa. She didn't answer. So I messaged her just one line. Asked Tyler about Dubai. She called back in 2 minutes. "Nathan, what are you talking about?" His new ID. The offshore accounts. The fact that he's got a one-way ticket and a fake passport waiting. "You're lying." "I'm warning." Silence. Then, for the first time since this whole thing started, her voice cracked. "What do I do?" I could have hung up. I should have. But something in me, maybe the ghost of the man who once loved her, said one last thing. "Run." She never replied. That night, I slept better than I had in months. The next morning, the news broke. Local woman arrested in financial fraud investigation tied to crypto laundering scheme. They showed a blurred mugshot. But I knew that dress. I knew those eyes. Alyssa, the queen of cold smiles. The master of lies. Now standing behind bars for a man who vanished the same day. Poetic. King. Justice. I watched the footage on mute. Didn't need the sound. Her eyes said enough. She wasn't crying. Wasn't shouting. Just blank. Like someone who finally realized the world doesn't revolve around her whims. I imagined the cell, the concrete, the cold meals, the cheap mattress she'd sleep on while the man she destroyed everything for disappeared into the wind with her name still smudged across fake bank accounts. I should have felt vindicated. I didn't. There's a weird numbness that settles in after everything ends. Like your brain doesn't know what to do without the chaos. No more late-night fights. No more wondering if she's lying. Just silence. And silence is a brutal companion. I went to the cabin's empty lot the next week. Bulldozed. Gone. Not even a plank left. All that was there was a burnt patch of soil and an old nail stuck in the dirt like a headstone. She erased it for nothing. I picked up the nail, turned it over in my fingers, and pocketed it. A souvenir of everything she stole, everything she lost. The lawyer called the day after. Her legal team is requesting character references, he said. I laughed so hard I had to put the phone down. Character. Alyssa. Those two words don't belong in the same sentence. Apparently, they were trying to argue that she didn't know what Tyler was doing. That she was manipulated. Used. A victim. Which, on some level, might be true. But not completely. She wasn't innocent. She might not have known all the details, but she knew enough. She knew she was selling something that didn't belong to her. She knew she was lying. Hiding. Covering. She just never expected the fire to reach her. I didn't give the reference. What could I say? She was my wife. She cheated. Lied. Sold my past. Killed our future. I wouldn't trust her with my car keys, let alone the law. Let her own decisions speak for her now. A few days later, Maddie showed up. At my door. Red eyes. Makeup streaked. She looked like she'd aged 10 years in a week. I didn't know it was that serious, she said, barely above a whisper. I stared at her like she was a roach crawling across clean tile. You laughed when she said she sold my cabin. I thought it was just, she hesitated, a joke. Tyler seemed so charming. We didn't know. You didn't care, I interrupted. You never cared. You both treated me like a background character in your little drama. I'm sorry. You're not. You're just scared. She flinched. I closed the door. That night, I took out the bracelet again. Forever, no matter what. I held it over the fire pit in my backyard, stared at it for a full minute, then dropped it in. Watched the flames curl around it, melting metal into nothing. There was no forever. There was only now. And now, I was free. A few weeks passed. The calls stopped. The noise faded. Life, somehow, resumed. The house was quiet now, too quiet at first. I used to hate the silence. Alyssa always filled it with something. Music, her voice, the fake laughs on the phone with her friends. But now, the quiet felt clean. Honest. No more pretending. No more wondering who she was texting or where she was going when she said, "Don't wait up." I started waking up early. Making real coffee instead of the overpriced crap she made me buy. I'd sit on the porch, robe on, mug in hand, just watching the sun rise. Some mornings, I'd replay everything in my head like a broken tape. The betrayal, her smug face, the way she said, "You'll get over it." It still hit like a punch, but the sting was duller now. Danny called one morning, just after dawn. "She's taking a plea," he said. "Avoiding trial. Minimum sentence, probably 18 months if her lawyers don't screw it up." "Good," I said. "Thought you'd want to know." "I do." He paused. "You good?" "I'm better than I've been in a long time." And I meant it. It wasn't that the pain disappeared. It's that it finally made sense. Alyssa was never the woman I thought she was. The signs had been there for years. The casual cruelty, the gaslighting, the way she always played victim when she got caught in a lie. I just didn't want to see it. I was in love with a version of her that never existed. One afternoon, while cleaning the garage, I found an old box labeled N+A, honeymoon. Photos, souvenirs, little notes we'd written each other. I sat on the floor and went through them all. I didn't cry. I didn't rage. I just felt detached. Like watching strangers' lives unfold through a peephole. At the bottom of the box was a postcard I'd never seen. Addressed to me, never sent. Her handwriting. If you're reading this, maybe I messed up. Or maybe you did. But I hope we both remember who we were at the beginning. I laughed. A dry, bitter laugh. She remembered the beginning because it was the only part that ever mattered to her. The part where everything was perfect, easy, fresh. She bailed the moment it required work. Loyalty. Respect. And now she was sitting in a jumpsuit, probably thinking of ways to blame everyone but herself. I burned the box that night. Watched our fake love story turn to smoke. A week later, I went back to the diner where I met Jenna. She wasn't there, but the waitress remembered me. "You look lighter," she said while refilling my coffee. Maybe I finally dropped something I shouldn't have been carrying. She smiled. "Good for you." I smiled back. Because for the first time in years, I actually meant it. Spring rolled in without warning. The grass got greener, the mornings warmer, and for once, I wasn't counting the days to anything. No anniversary plans to fake smile through. No pretending I was okay just to keep the peace. I wasn't numb anymore. I wasn't angry either. I was just awake. One night I got a message. From a number I didn't recognize. "He's gone. He left me nothing. Just wanted you to know." No name. But I didn't need one. The tone was hers, stripped of confidence. All her venom boiled down into desperation. I stared at the screen for a long minute. My thumb hovered over the keyboard. Then I turned off the phone. Let her sit in the ashes she created. The next morning, Jenna called. She'd moved out of Austin, taken the kids, started over near her sister in Colorado. She said she felt like she could finally breathe. "You ever think we were all just extras in Tyler and Alyssa's self-absorbed movie?" she asked. "Yeah, but now we're offset." We talked for an hour. Not about them, about life. About what comes after surviving something like that. I told her about the cabin, the note I left, the bracelet in the fire. She laughed when I said I started baking again. "You? Baking? Don't judge," I said. "Turns out kneading dough is better than therapy." A few days later, she sent a package. Inside was a handwritten note. "A fresh start deserves good tools." And wrapped in paper, a brand new set of measuring spoons. That night, I made cinnamon rolls from scratch. Ate 2, burned 1, and left the last on the windowsill like some kind of dumb fairy tale. But it felt good. Honest. Alyssa once said I was boring. That I lacked ambition. That I didn't make her feel alive. What she didn't realize was that real peace isn't loud. It's not flashy. It's not champagne on rooftops with men who lie for a living. It's quiet mornings. Knowing who you are. Living without pretending. Weeks turned into months. Her trial made the news again. Tyler was never found. Some say he's in Belize. Others think he faked his death. I don't care. I don't follow the updates anymore. I live. One night, I walked into the same beachside restaurant where she betrayed me, alone this time. Sat at the same table. Ordered the same wine. The waiter gave me a strange look. "Waiting for someone?" he asked. "No," I said. "Not this time." And I raised a glass to no one. But I smiled like I was surrounded by 1,000 ghosts finally fading away. A few days ago, I got the official letter. Alyssa Martin has been released from custody after serving a reduced sentence. No apology. No message. Just a fact printed on government paper, as cold and sterile as she always was at the end. I folded it up and tucked it into the back of a drawer. Not because I needed it, but because it felt like the last page of a chapter I'd already closed. She's out there now, somewhere. Probably still chasing the next high, the next easy dollar, the next man foolish enough to believe her curated smile. But she'll never get another second of my life. Not a text, not a glance, not a thought I don't choose to give her. I'm not angry anymore. I'm grateful. She burned everything to the ground, and that's what finally set me free. Last weekend, I drove upstate. Not to the old cabin. That's long gone. But there's a new place now, smaller, quieter mine. I built a fire. Watched the smoke drift into the trees. And for the first time in years, I didn't look back. I met someone recently. Nothing serious yet. Just long walks and slow laughs and no lies. Her name's Emily. She doesn't ask what happened. She lets me tell it in my own time. Or not at all. And when she smiles, it doesn't feel like a trap. It feels like sunlight after a long storm. You learn things when your heart gets broken in a way you don't come back from. You learn that love without respect is poison. That loyalty is worth more than excitement. That silence is better than words soaked in lies. And if you're lucky, you learn how to stand up from the wreckage, dust yourself off, and walk away not bitter, but better. So here's what I'll say to any man who finds himself where I once was. Trust your gut. Never apologize for asking questions. If someone makes you feel small, they are not your person. And when the truth comes, because it always does, meet it head on. Let it break you. Then rebuild. I'm not the same man she married. I'm something she'll never understand. Whole. Honest. Finally free. She stood at the arrival's gate, wild-eyed and trembling like a deer staring down headlights. Makeup smeared, lips trembling, blonde hair tied in a messy knot like she hadn't slept in days. Her voice cracked through the airport crowd. Jason, what happened? Why aren't you answering my calls? Where's your luggage? I adjusted the cuffs of my blazer, slid my phone into my coat pocket, and looked her dead in the eye. Everything went just as I planned. That's when her knees buckled, and she had to grab the railing to keep from falling. The woman who called me from my own house just 2 weeks earlier, saying, I'm leaving you for my lover and our unborn child, now looked like she'd seen a ghost. And maybe she had. The ghost of her own UPS. Let's rewind. 2 weeks ago, I was on a business trip in Seoul. It was late. I'd just gotten out of a dinner with our South Korean partners, sitting on the hotel bed, sipping a glass of whiskey, when I saw her name light up my phone, Callie. My wife. The same woman I'd spent 8 years building a life with. The woman I'd trusted with my home, my heart, and every goddamn dream I had. I answered, smiling out of habit. Hey babe. Silence. Then her voice, cold and emotionless. Jason. I'm leaving you. I'm pregnant. It's his. I've sold the house. And the car. You'll get the divorce papers tomorrow. I let the words wash over me, like standing under ice water. I didn't say a thing. Just sat there, blinking, heartbeat slowing down. Then I said the only word I had in me. All right. Click. I didn't throw the glass. I didn't scream. I didn't even cry. Because the moment she hung up, something inside me clicked. Something dark. Something focused. And for the first time in years, I felt calm. Ice-cold calm. Callie had always been good at faking things. Her laugh, her devotion, the way she'd compliment my suits before I left for work, like clockwork. I thought I had a partner. Turns out I had a con artist living in my bed. And I didn't notice until I started noticing. The late-night work calls. The lingerie I didn't recognize stuffed in the laundry bin. The text she'd swipe away when I walked into the room. The whisper fights on the patio at 1 a.m. I played dumb, but I was taking notes. And I wasn't just traveling for business. I was making plans. Quiet plans. When she sold the house, she thought she won. But I'd already signed over the deed to my holding company. Legally, she didn't sell anything. When she sold the car, I'd already transferred ownership to my business partner, Luke, 2 weeks prior. I'd moved most of our savings and locked the rest in a legal trust. She never checked. She was too busy chasing her new dream life. Her lover? Some guy named Bryce, a failed MMA fighter turned fitness coach. Real genius. Had a mugshot from 2021, battery charge. She met him at the gym. Of course she did. He whispered sweet nothings into her ear while she spotted his reps, and she believed every word. Probably told her he'd open a supplement line with her or some trash like that. She thought she had the upper hand. Until I landed back in LAX. Until she saw my cold stare. Until she realized something was deeply wrong. Because when I walked past her that day, brushed past her fake crocodile tears and the crowd of confused onlookers, I didn't stop. I just kept walking. And then she followed me. Jason, wait. What do you mean as planned? What are you talking about? I stopped, turned around slowly, and said, I knew months ago. You're not good at hiding your lies, Callie. I let you dig your own grave. You're not the one leaving me. I let you go. That was the first crack. She stared at me, pupil shrinking, lower lip twitching. What do you mean you knew? You knew what? I smiled. Everything. Bryce. The pregnancy. The fake real estate deal. The offshore transfer to that joke of a brokerage account. She gasped. Her entire face collapsed. How did you? I stepped closer. Because I'm not the idiot you married. I just played one. She didn't even try to speak after that. Just stood there as I walked away again, my phone already buzzing with a call from Luke. Yo, Jay. We good? I smiled. We're good. Phase 2 starts now. I got in the black SUV that Luke sent to pick me up and didn't look back. Through the tinted glass, I caught a glimpse of her pacing, hands flailing, hair coming undone, mouth moving but no words reaching me. She looked like a stranded actress left alone on stage after the audience had gone home. Where to, boss? The driver asked. Downtown. Straight to the firm. As the city rolled by, I finally allowed myself to feel something. Not pain. Not sadness. Something colder. Satisfaction. The kind that comes when you realize you're not the fool in the story. You're the one writing it. I spent the next 2 hours in my lawyer's office, signing the final batch of papers that would strip her of everything she thought she stole. The house? Already locked under litigation. The sold car? Reported. Fraud case incoming. The joint accounts? Emptied, legally, before she ever touched them. The unborn child? If it even existed, I wanted a paternity test the moment it breathed air. She underestimated me. Most people do when you're the calm type, the one who says less and watches more. But Callie? She made a career out of underestimating me. She weaponized her beauty like a blade. I used to love how she walked into a room and made it hers. I didn't know back then she was scanning the room for targets. It all made sense now. The change in perfume. The long drives that didn't match up with the gym's location. That one night I woke up to her not in bed at 3 a.m., just to find her sitting in the car, engine running, staring blankly at her phone like she was waiting for a message she couldn't afford to miss. That wasn't confusion. That was guilt. The mistake she made wasn't the betrayal, it was thinking I'd break. Thinking I'd beg. Thinking I'd cry and chase her like some sitcom husband she saw on TV. She didn't realize I'd spent the last 6 months building an exit. Quietly. Patiently. I moved back into my apartment that night, the same one I kept on the side, the one she didn't know about. The one with a view over the harbor and a wall of untouched bourbon that felt like it had been waiting for this moment. I poured a glass and opened my laptop. Callie had emailed me 5 times in the last hour. Subject: I'm sorry. Please talk to me. Subject: can we just meet and talk about this like adults? Subject: I was scared. I didn't know what to do. The woman who screamed, "I'm leaving you for my lover and our unborn child," had now changed her tune to, "I didn't mean it like that." Amazing how fast the game flips when you take away the pieces. I didn't reply. Instead, I watched the security footage. Yeah, I installed cameras in the house months ago. Quietly, one by one. She never noticed. She was too busy thinking about Bryce and whatever sleazy fantasies they whispered in gym locker rooms. In one of the clips, 2 days before her call, I saw them together in our kitchen, her perched on the counter in one of my shirts, legs wrapped around him like it was their home. He had tattoos crawling up his neck and a smugness that only came from thinking he'd won. He hadn't won. He walked into a trap so perfectly set, he didn't even know he was dinner. The next day, Bryce got a call from one of my PI friends. A fake business offer. Overseas deal. Big money. I wanted him distracted and out of the country. He took the bait. People like him always do. He left 3 days after her call, which meant when she showed up at the airport, panicked and alone, he wasn't even answering her texts anymore. He was probably already in Dubai, wondering why his big deal meeting never showed. He was ghosted. By me. Poetic justice. Later that night, around midnight, I heard the buzzer ring. I checked the camera. It was her. Hair soaked from the rain, clutching a purse, eyes red, voice barely audible through the speaker. Jason, please. Just 5 minutes. Please. I didn't answer. She waited 20 minutes before slumping against the door, sobbing into her hands, mumbling something I couldn't make out. Maybe it was regret. Maybe it was just panic. Either way, I poured another drink and turned the volume down. You see, when someone shows you who they are, don't just believe them, record it. Build your case. Be silent, be still, and when the time comes, burn the whole damn stage down. And that was just the start. The next morning, I woke up to 17 missed calls from her. For voicemails. One of them was mostly her crying and whispering, "I'm so sorry," as if repeating it would undo everything. Another was her yelling at someone in the background. I'm guessing her sister or maybe even Bryce if he finally picked up. Her voice cracked when she screamed, "I don't know what he did, but he's not answering me. He's gone." Good. Let her feel the silence I lived with for months, watching her drift further away while lying through those glossy lips. I played her voicemails on loop while getting dressed for the meeting with the legal team handling the fraud case. The sound of her unraveling was music to my ears. As I buttoned my shirt, another call buzzed in. Unknown number. I ignored it. 10 seconds later, another voicemail dropped. Curious, I played it. "Jason, it's me. Please, just let me talk. You don't understand. It wasn't supposed to happen like this. Bryce, he left. He said he can't deal with the drama. He took my card. I don't have anything left. Please, just meet me." Now she wanted a meeting. Now, after she gutted my life from thousands of miles away over a phone call, now she wanted to talk. I didn't respond. Instead, I drove to my office, met with my legal team, and handed them the file I'd been building for months. Screenshots, phone records, financial trails. Her name tied to every stupid move she thought was genius. I wanted her to feel trapped, cornered in the mess she made, with no more lies to crawl under. Afterward, I took a walk around the block, thinking I'd feel lighter. I didn't. Truth is, even when you win, when you outsmart them, crush them with their own betrayal, it doesn't feel like a victory. It feels like confirmation that the person you loved, built a life with, was just a mask. And now you get to meet the face beneath it. That night, she showed up again. This time not crying. This time angry. Jason, open the damn door. You think you're some kind of genius? You think you can just leave me like this? I gave you years. I gave you everything. I watched through the peephole as she slammed her fist against the door, rage replacing the fake tears. There she was, the real her. Not the sweet, smiling wife. The monster under the makeup. That's who she really was. A liar. A manipulator. A woman who only felt something when it was slipping out of her grip. I'll tell everyone you abused me, she screamed. I'll ruin you. I opened the door. Just a crack. Enough for her to see the smile on my face. Already sent out the documents. Security footage. Emails. Bank statements. If you want to go public, I'll make you famous. Her face dropped. I watched the fury drain from her eyes, replaced by something even better. Fear. She didn't speak. Just turned. Walked away slowly like her legs were made of lead. That was the last time she came to my door. The next day, I got an email from her lawyer, asking to settle amicably. No apologies. No admissions. Just the legal version of waving a white flag. They offered to walk away from everything. No house. No car. No support. Nothing. I forwarded the email to my lawyer with 2 words, finish her. This wasn't about revenge anymore. It was about justice. About standing up from the wreckage she tried to leave me in and saying, not this time. But that night, as I sat on the balcony sipping from the same bottle I opened when I got back, I let myself feel it all again. The love I used to feel for her. The weekends spent watching movies in bed. The quiet breakfasts. The holidays we spent with her family. All fake. All gone. How do you mourn someone who's still alive? How do you bury a love that died while the body kept walking around, smiling at you, lying to your face? I didn't have the answer. But I knew one thing. I'd never love like that again. A week passed. She stopped calling. Instead, she started posting Instagram stories full of fake smiles, beach shots with captions like "New Beginning Sunrise," and "Some people weren't meant to stay in your life forever." I didn't even follow her anymore. My assistant sent me screenshots. She thought she was in control again. That if she painted a perfect enough picture, the truth wouldn't matter. But truth has a way of leaking through the cracks. And hers was crumbling fast. The gym she worked at shut her out. Once word got around about Bryce's record and the internal theft we traced back to her little supplement scam, the owners had no choice. Clients stopped coming. People talk. Trainers gossip. And women like Callie? They can't survive without attention. I heard she moved in with a friend. Then out. Then back with her mother. Meanwhile, the lawsuit moved forward. Slowly. Quietly. But surely. One night, around 2 a.m., I got a call from an old number. Derek, her brother. A guy I always got along with, until she poisoned him against me with her lies. I let it ring 4 times, then picked up. Jason, he said, voice low. I know this is out of line, man. But I needed to say something. I waited. She's not okay. She's not eating. She's not talking to anyone. She's falling apart. I lit a cigarette. Something I hadn't done in years. And I asked. She made mistakes, bro. But she's still my sister. I get that, I said. But you don't know half of what she did. I know enough, he said. I saw the footage. That caught me off guard. She showed you. I asked. No, he said. I hacked her laptop when she crashed at my place. I saw the way she let him treat your house like his. The things she said about you when she thought no one was listening. I just wanted to say, I'm sorry. For everything. There was a long silence. Thanks, I said finally. That means something. He didn't push. Didn't beg for forgiveness on her behalf. Just hung up. And weirdly, it hit me harder than her crying at my door. Maybe because it reminded me she was human. A horrible, lying, manipulative human, but still one with a family, a past, a story. Just like me. We weren't so different, her and I, except I didn't burn the people who loved me to the ground. The next day, I got an email from her. No subject, just a single line. I found out the baby wasn't his. No hello, no apology. Just that. I didn't respond. Not because I didn't care, but because I'd finally reached that strange, rare place where your feelings go silent. Not numbness. Not hatred. Just nothing. I looked at her words, and they didn't move me. They were just letters on a screen, like a stranger's message that accidentally found its way into my inbox. I closed the laptop and left the apartment for a walk. That night, I found myself outside the old bookstore she used to love, the one with the dusty air and the sleepy jazz playing low in the background. I don't even know why I walked in. Maybe habit. Maybe curiosity. Maybe some part of me was trying to prove that her ghost didn't own me anymore. Inside, nothing had changed. The same old man behind the counter. The same shelves. The same quiet peace. I picked up a copy of a book she once made me read. A romance novel she cried over. I remembered pretending to hate it just to make her laugh. I remembered the way her head used to rest on my chest when we read on Sundays. I remembered all the things I wish I could forget. And then, I put the book back and walked out without buying anything. Because the past? It's just a story. And I'm not in that chapter anymore. But she is. And that's her punishment. 2 months later, I saw her again. Not in person. Not through a call. On the news. It wasn't front page. Just a 2-minute segment buried in the late-night local broadcast. Some small-time fitness influencer caught in a financial dispute with clients over fake wellness products. Lawsuits pending. One name stood out in bold on the screen. Callie Monroe. She looked thinner. Dark circles under her eyes. That glow she used to weaponize was gone. Makeup couldn't cover the fatigue. Her smile looked like it had been stapled on, like someone told her to act confident but forgot to give her the lines. She tried to spin it, of course. Said it was a misunderstanding. That she was transitioning out of the business and focusing on personal wellness. I turned the TV off before the anchor finished the segment. Let her spin. Let her dance. Let her bury herself in lies until she forgets what truth even felt like. I was done playing audience. But life has a twisted sense of humor. A week after that, I ran into Bryce. At a gas station, of all places. I was on the way to meet a client out of town. Pulled over for snacks and a coffee. And there he was, same dumb tribal tattoo snaking down his arm, tight tee, fake swagger. He didn't notice me at first. Was too busy flirting with the cashier, trying to get a discount on some protein bars. It would have been funny if it wasn't so pathetic. Then he turned. We locked eyes. And for a split second he froze. I didn't move. Didn't blink. Just stared at him like he was already erased from my memory. He walked over. Slow. Like he wanted to pretend it was casual. Yo. Jason, right? I sipped my coffee. Didn't expect you back in the country. He scratched the back of his neck. Yeah, Dubai was not what I thought it'd be. No kidding. There was an awkward pause. He tried to smirk. Guess things didn't work out with Callie the way either of us expected. I said nothing. She told me it was over between you two before anything happened, he added quickly. Just so you know. I raised an eyebrow. Right. Because you were really the honorable type. He chuckled like we were old buddies catching up. Look, man, it was just bad timing. She said a lot of things. I didn't know she was playing both of us. I finished my coffee, tossed the cup in the bin, and stepped closer. She played you because you were easy. And dumb. And cheap. You were a rebound fantasy she thought she could build a new life with. And you swallowed it because you thought having her meant you won something. He tried to laugh it off. Whatever, man. It's in the past. No, I said. You're still living in it. I moved on. You? You're still chasing discounts and validation. I turned around and walked away without looking back. And it felt good. Not angry good. Not revenge good. Just done. That night, I got home, poured myself a glass of whiskey, and stared out the window of my new place. Downtown loft. Clean lines. Big windows. No traces of her. My life didn't end when she left. It started. All those years I spent trying to be enough for someone who was never satisfied gone. I was building again. A business, a new circle of people, a piece I'd forgotten existed. And for the first time in years, I didn't feel like a man trying to prove something. I just felt like myself. A few days later, I got an invitation in the mail. Thick envelope, hand-addressed, perfumed. I didn't need to open it to know who it was from. Callie. Inside was a card that looked like it came from one of those overpriced boutique stores she used to drag me into. Cream-colored, gold foil, and a script font that screamed, "Look how refined I am. Let's meet. Just talk. No lawyers. No anger. Just us. One last time. No return address. Just a time, a date, and a place, our old coffee shop. The one where we met 10 years ago when she spilled an iced latte on my laptop and laughed like it was the funniest thing in the world. Back when her eyes still had warmth in them. Back when I still believed in people like her. I shouldn't have gone. But I did. Not because I missed her. Not because I wanted closure. I don't believe in that word anymore. I went because I wanted to look her in the eye and see for myself what she'd become. She was already there when I walked in. Hair pinned up. That expensive trench coat I bought her last Christmas. Red lipstick she wore when she wanted something. She looked up from her cappuccino and smiled like nothing had happened. "Jason," she said, standing up as if we were old friends. I sat down. Said nothing. She took a slow sip and sighed like this was all very difficult for her. "I'm glad you came. Get to the point," I said. Her smile faded just a little. "You don't have to be cruel." "No, I don't. But I'm not here for kindness." She leaned forward. "I've made mistakes. I know that. I got caught up in things, in someone who promised me something better. And I was stupid. And selfish." I stared at her. She continued, voice low. "I thought you didn't love me anymore. You were so distant. Always working. Always somewhere else." I almost laughed. "So you fixed it by climbing on top of a gym rat in my kitchen?" Her eyes flickered. "It wasn't like that." "No," I said, "because I've got video footage that says it was exactly like that." Silence. She blinked fast. Looked away. "I didn't come here to fight." "Then what did you come for?" She hesitated. Bit her lip. Then, just like always, her tone changed. Softer. Almost pleading. "I miss you." I smiled. "I miss how you made me feel. Like everything made sense. Like I mattered." "You mattered," I said. "You just didn't like the kind of matching that comes with loyalty and patience. You wanted fireworks. Drama. Someone who made your blood rush and your brain stop working." She looked like she might cry. "Bryce was a mistake. Bryce was your choice. And so was every lie that came after." Then she did cry. Quiet tears. No wailing. Just soft weeping into her napkin. People looked. I didn't care. She wiped her face. "Do you hate me?" "No," I said honestly. "I don't." Her eyes lit up for half a second. "I don't feel anything." That killed it. She looked away. Stared out the window like she could escape through the glass. "I thought maybe, with time, you'd forgive me. That we could." "We can't." "But I'm not with him anymore," she whispered. "I know," I said. "He's not with you either." She looked back at me like she wanted to scream. Instead, she nodded. "I deserve that." I stood up. Left a 20 on the table even though I hadn't ordered anything. She looked up at me one last time. "Is this really it?" I leaned down slightly, close enough for only her to hear. "You sent me divorce papers while I was away. Told me you were pregnant with another man's kid. Sold my house and my car. And then you panicked because I didn't beg. What did you think would happen?" Her lip trembled. She opened her mouth. Nothing came out. I turned and walked out. The sun was setting. The air smelled like rain. I felt clean. Lighter. Behind me, the door jingled as it closed. And so did that chapter of my life. A few weeks passed. No calls. No emails. No sudden appearances at my door. Just quiet. I guess even she finally understood when the door was truly closed. But even when someone's gone, they leave fingerprints on everything. I'd catch myself at stoplights, glancing at the passenger seat like she'd be there fixing her makeup. Or I'd walk into a store and hear a song she used to hum while cleaning the kitchen. Ghosts. Not the kind that haunt with screams, but the quiet ones, the kind that settle in your ribs and exhale only when the world slows down. I didn't hate her. I didn't wish her harm. But I didn't wish her peace either. Because peace is earned. And some people try to steal it like it's owed to them. One night, Luke and I were having drinks at a rooftop bar downtown. City lights glowing below us, the hum of traffic like a soft reminder that life keeps moving whether you're ready or not. He raised his glass to me. "Honestly, man," he said, "you handled that whole thing like a king. Most guys would have lost their damn minds." I smiled. "Maybe I did. Just quietly." He laughed. "Still, you crushed it. The legal stuff. The way you stayed calm. You even made that Bryce dude disappear like a magician." "I didn't do anything magical," I said. "I just let her walk into the fire she built for me." Luke took a sip, and looked out over the skyline. You ever think about starting over? Like, really starting over? I nodded slowly. Yeah, I think about it. Anyone new? I shook my head. Not yet. I'm not ready to trust someone with that part of me. He leaned back, studying me. You ever think maybe part of you still wants her to say something? To come clean for real? Apologize the right way. I didn't answer right away. Just stared into my drink. I don't need her apology, I said finally. What I needed was never to be lied to like I didn't matter. Luke nodded. Said nothing more. That night, I walked home instead of taking an Uber. Just needed the air. The streets were quiet. Clean. Almost cinematic. My footsteps echoing off the concrete, each one pulling me further from who I used to be. And then, out of nowhere, I saw her again. Not in person. On a park bench. On a billboard. Her face, from an old ad campaign for a wellness retreat she tried to launch before everything fell apart. The retreat never happened. The investors pulled out. Lawsuits piled in. But someone forgot to take the sign down. She was smiling in it, backlit by fake sunlight, eyes glowing with that same charm that once hooked me so fast I couldn't breathe. I stood there staring at it for a long time. Then I walked over, pulled out a pin from my coat, and wrote across the bottom. Nothing heals if you keep lying. I stepped back, looked at it, felt nothing, and walked away. 6 months later, life felt unfamiliar, but in the best way possible. Like moving into a house that finally fits your shape. No footsteps in the hallway at midnight. No lies folded into pillow talk. Just silence. Peace. The kind you don't realize you missed until it fills the cracks. My business had doubled. New clients. Bigger deals. I hired people I trusted. People who didn't smile with knives in their pockets. My mornings were mine again. Gym. Coffee. A view over the city that didn't feel lonely anymore. Just honest. One day, I got a letter in the mail. No return address. Just my name in handwriting I hadn't seen in months. Inside was a single page. No, dear Jason. No, love, Callie. Just black ink on cream paper. You were right. About everything. I don't expect forgiveness. I just wanted you to know I think about what I did every day. Not because I lost you, but because I lost who I was supposed to be. No signature. I folded it once. Set it on the table. Didn't tear it up. Didn't frame it. Just let it sit. Later that night, I walked out to the balcony and lit a candle. Not for her. For closure. For what we had. For what I survived. And I realized something I hadn't said out loud until that moment. She didn't break me. She freed me. From the illusion. From the game. From the quiet where I didn't even know I'd been fighting. And for the first time in years, I smiled. Not because I won, but because I finally stopped playing a game I never wanted to be part of. So if you're reading this, if you've ever felt the weight of betrayal on your chest like a cinder block, you're not alone. And no matter how bad it feels right now, no matter how deep the cut, you heal. Not overnight. Not easily. But you do. And when you finally do, you'll thank the version of yourself that chose to walk away, even when your heart was still begging to stay. That version? He's the one who saved your life.